Welcome back to my huge channel, everybody. Today we're speaking about a topic you've heard more than once, more than twice, more than I cannot count more, but you've heard about it, and it's personal style. And to be honest, it's your own, very own personal style. I like to talk about this topic because I think at the very end of the tunnel, end of the funnel, it comes down to your personal style. I do love runways. I do love designers. I do love everything in this fashion industry around it that has something to do with creativity. But what I care the most about is how we all dress, because that's what it just all comes down to. That's what makes us happy on a daily basis. It's not the Vogue magazine, it's yourself in the mirror. I do believe we need to commit a bit more to sticking to our own personal style for next year. I'm not a fan of next year ambitions, what's your New Year's ambition, or this and that. I never did that. I do not like to not achieve my goals. That's why I never put specific goals. I do the exact opposite of manifestation. And I don't think you should manifest things. I think you naturally manifest things, right? Like they're naturally things that you want to achieve, like finding your own personal style, not copying other people's styles, not being too influenced by other people's style, but finding your very own self. I thought a bit about it, and I think I have created something like a small guideline for 2025 because I want to give you a buffer of 6 weeks to prepare mentally to some changes, to some commitments. So today we're speaking about my very own personal guidelines for 2025 on how to commit and find your personal style even better than you already are. And you know what's going to come now in between, and I don't care if you heard it everywhere else. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, you have the opportunity to do that now. If not, I do take it personal. I will put a spell on you. If you do like this YouTube channel, please subscribe. Don't forget about that. And if you do enjoy more personal videos and this persona sitting here right in front of you, if you do like to see more personal styling, like literally how I like to get dressed sometimes, what I have shopped, where I shop, and all my thoughts about the fashion industry, I share another weekly video on my Patreon. The link is down below. Feel free to subscribe there as well. And of course, if you don't want to only see my face because it's stupid and boring, we do have the Discord server as well, where we are thousands of people all over the world sharing different professions, all of these kind of things. But one thing we share all in common is that we love fashion. And yeah, if you're desperate for finding friends, and you do love your friends, you do love your childhood friends and your family, they're kind people, but you do miss out on serious fashion topics, you should join the Discord server, which is kind of a fairy tale, Teletubby world if you're addicted to fashion. In the Discord server, we are launching very freshly, only for the Patreon exclusives. How did I call it? Special guest talks. Exactly, it's industry people talking. I know, I do everything now, so you get everything from me. Every tiny atom consisting of my body is now creating some sort of anything. So if you are into special guest talks with people from the industry, designers, from big conglomerates, buyers, shop owners, all these kind of things, you should join the Patreon and the server, and also subscribe to this channel, because I know a YouTube channel looks old school now compared to all these new media formats, but this is still where our house stands. This is still where home is. And also, I have launched a website 3 weeks ago or something. I think I didn't speak about it so much, but maybe in the last video, I'm not sure. It has my name. I'm that egocentric, self-centric person. It has my name, and I'm sharing my Instagram looks there if you are interested into very trivial fashion looks that I share. I'm explaining why I'm wearing that, and also where you can get pieces like that, and I'm updating it weekly, and we're gonna do it bi-weekly now as well. So check the website. I think it's pretty cute and funny. And let me know what you think about it. So let's get deep down into how we can improve our personal style in 2025. I know you've been on a journey, probably. We are all on this journey, and we're trying to find our personal style. And it's normal to get inspired by Instagram, you know, small brand editorials. I'm not even speaking about Yves Saint Laurent, Celine, and whoever. We all follow these little accounts, cute designers from here and there, globally, everywhere. And it's actually really nice to support emerging designers as well. But I want to speak about something else. The first rule or guide or whatever we need to stick to. And I know this sounds very simple, but I will get into the details and I will have exact examples. We need to get back to individuality. And I know this is probably the most generic term in the world of fashion, individuality. Yeah, we all want to be individual. Everybody wants to talk about their personal style, their experience, how the experience has affected their personal style, and all these kind of things. It's more than just that. I know we all get influenced by magazine editorials, by current trends that we have. Obviously, the biggest trend drivers right now are the usual big brands of conglomerates or self-made big companies like Miu Miu, Prada, Saint Laurent, Celine, Loewe, even though I think Loewe is not as impactful as it was before, by the way. Anyway, I think, of course, we all have the Vogue Runway app. We all read the common magazines, I would say. It's obvious what we see in terms of fashion editorials, what we can get influenced. You can orient yourself and find yourself in one of those brands. That's absolutely fine. It's not about individuality. Is not like you should not stick to a major label and just wear niche brands. It's not about that. It comes down to specific products. We see so much styling, but deathful styling, pre-styling, everything is overstyled right now. The runways are pretty overstyled as well. At the very beginning, I really loved to see a lot more styling on the runways, something I was used to see in the 2010s, even before, where we had a bit more of an eclectic approach, I would say, until minimalism kicked in and destroyed everything. But we see that brands have figured out, like even Prada, even Loewe, Jonathan Anders, and all these kind of brands have figured out that we really dig into micro trends, that we love micro trends. We love macro trends, but we do specifically love micro trends. I do like micro trends as well. It's like a little energy boost in my brain that makes me recognize something I wasn't aware of before, that makes me change something, shift something in my styling, which is exciting. But what it's also doing for us is predicting the way we're supposed to style stuff. And I'm speaking, for example, about this cardigan from Jonathan Anders, and that, by the way, also looks like a replica of Martin Margiela from back in the days, but whatever, it's not about that. The fact that we have cardigans with like sewn in shirts or crew necks with sewn in collars, everything is pre-styled. The double polo shirt that you can buy, the Miu Miu triple long sleeve shirt that you can buy. You can buy everything pre-styled right now because brands want to make it so simple for us. That's where individuality dies. That's where brands predict and dictate on how we're supposed to wear stuff. If you want to have that cute ruffled collar underneath your sweater, you're gonna buy a cute ruffled shirt underneath. You need to pay those $10 or $15 in the thrift store, and I'm sure they don't cost more. I know it, I used to buy those kind of things. Don't get stuff that is pre-styled. And when I say pre-styled, it's not only the garment itself that is pre-styled sometimes, where you have double pants, double shoes, I don't know, all these kind of things that we have right now that are like one season only pieces that you will not be able to separate into several pieces to wear multiple times. It's really a trendy item. But one thing that is even worse and killing all form of individuality, and I see it a lot on Instagram, I don't even see it so much on TikTok, I see it the most on Instagram. And I don't want to say it because I really want to support small shop owners, but it's definitely pre-styled vintage pieces. Yes, I said it. I'm so sorry. I'm a person that always pushed vintage clothing. Not specifically vintage, but secondhand. The pieces I buy usually are not much older than 10 years old, so I don't consider that vintage, but it's more like secondhand. And usually it's designer pieces that I've been searching for the last 8 years probably. So I do really still consider buying secondhand one of the best ways to get your designer pieces. Like, buy it just 4 years after it was on the runway. If it's a ready-to-wear piece, you're super lucky because nobody cares about ready-to-wear out there. Everybody cares about shoes and handbags. And if you're smart, and if you're good in fashion, and if you have a clue, you're a ready-to-wear person. You're not a shoes and handbags. If you are a shoes and handbags person, you need to sit down and really think about how much you really love fashion. You need to be a ready-to-wear person if you're really into fashion. Anyway, it's not about that. I'm not questioning you. I'm questioning other people right now. But if you do like these pre-curated, pre-selected vintage stores that keep up popping everywhere right now. Everybody has a tiny pop-up right now with some vintage Galliano, vintage Dior, vintage Yves Saint Laurent, vintage Galliano for Dior. I don't know, all these kind of things that are very popular among a certain group of people that likes to shop certain style in vintage stores. What I want to say is, even if these things are very well styled, and there's a lot of vintage designer, for example, as well, but what personally attracts me, for example, or there's a lot of vintage Prada, coming to Prada, and you know this is a Prada channel. You see these looks and you're like, hey, that's very individual because it's old garments, it's old pieces, it's pieces that have been forgotten, and they styled it, they managed to create a new look that looks very appealing and very new and fresh. It's fake. I don't know if I have to say it like this, but I think nobody looks like the person on your Instagram feed in this look. If you get those 1998 Prada vintage jacket, that doesn't even look good on your dad, but it does look good on a, I don't know, 180 model and is wearing this Prada. Like, yes, she would definitely look good in every other piece you have in your wardrobe as well. And what I don't like about these people or these stores that keep popping up everywhere is that they keep selling us the same idea that big luxury houses do. It's like a certain body type, it's a certain aesthetic that will, when we buy these pieces that are usually also kind of overpriced, not look like that on us. That Prada jacket from 98, it will not look good on you. It's just this very overstyled editorial-like picture that they posted that looks good. I mean, it's great for a magazine, it's great for their brand identity, what they're trying to build, but it's not real. And it doesn't push your personal individuality because you again try to buy something and try to reflect that on yourself instead of going inside yourself and thinking, do I really want this piece? What do I feel towards this piece? Do I really want this? What is my relation with this Prada jacket? Not everything vintage is cool, not everything secondhand is cool, and not everything well-styled is good on you. And to bring your individuality further, you need to stop getting inspired by these pretty beings out there that are very well styled and the worst kind of pieces that are extremely overpriced. You need to go deep inside yourself and really question yourself. Honestly, going into a random thrift store anywhere is way more helpful for you, where you just try on random things that you would probably never try. I don't know, maybe it's a triple size crew neck sweater, maybe it's a too big skirt that you want to drape yourself and, I don't know, turn into a different piece. It's way more efficient to find your personal style. This is what I experience, and I swear by this. You can save those images on your Instagram feed. You can follow people on TikTok, do all these kind of things, and on Pinterest as well. I think it's helpful sometimes with some inspiration. I do look into Pinterest every now and then to get inspiration as well. But I would never consider put something up there and be like, this is what I want to be. You should never externalize what you are trying to achieve with yourself. It's internal. It's not external. And every depiction of a different person in an overstyled, in a head-to-toe Prada or Gucci or Vivienne Westwood look will not be you. You will have to dig down, find those Prada pieces yourself that will look good on you and reflect you. So it's a bit of work, but push individuality, forget Instagram girls. Second tip, guide. I still haven't figured out how to call this. Something I want to push, something I want to get votes for, something I want to create a party for this. Can we please push maximalism? And when I say maximalism, I think a lot of people get it wrong. And I think that's not their fault. It's normal. Maximalism just sounds loud and a lot and colorful. It doesn't have to be that at all. Maximalism is just maximalism, something huge, you know? It can be very abstract sometimes. You can be monochromatic and maximalist. The reason we need to push in 2025 maximalism and what it has to do with our personal style is we've been through quiet luxury, and this started way earlier than the Succession hype, the Loro Piana hype, the Hermes hype. I mean, honestly, Hermes is one of the most reasonable brands right now, I kind of feel. But other than that, I understand the necessity that we had for a tiny bit of minimalism. The 2000s were tough. It was hard to swallow. We managed. It was amazing times. It was funny days also. But minimalism helped us to clear out everything, you know, to clear out the broth of fashion trends. But after that, what evolved is nothing but commercial pieces. What we have right now on a lot of runways is without identity, without quality, and without personality. If you do think you feel more comfortable dressing in a very minimal way in terms of colors and shape, that's up to you. I mean, that's then your personal style. Perfect. You found your personal style. Why are you watching this video? If you don't feel comfortable, if you think, okay, I do wear my black slacks every day and my crew neck from Uniqlo, it's kind of cute, it's nice. But also I have a lot more thoughts than that on my mind and that I want to reflect. You can start with silhouettes. I'm a sucker for silhouettes. I think it changes everything. I think it's the most relevant thing when styling your look. It's not the quality. I'm not speaking about quality that is usually connected to a price tag as well. Silhouette is something you can very easily create in a thrift store, secondhand, with accessories usually, with some textures. It's something very easily recreatable. But something that makes maximalism a bit hard for a lot of people is, I think, daring to be maximalist, daring to wear a different kind of silhouette, to wear a different shape of pant, to wear a different shape of shirt, to wear a hat, to wear very wide shoulders, to wear something very narrow, for example, to dare to wear skinny jeans, for example. I don't get the hate against skinny stuff as well. So whatever silhouette you want to try, you should try it in a very maximalist way to be a bit more expressive. We've been quiet for way too long. We don't have to be quiet. We all live in cities and areas where pretty much everything is kind of accepted, as long as you thrive for something very different. But you can try to create a new silhouette. Go for that coat in 3 sizes bigger. Go for those skinny jeans. Go for these shoes that look like 10XLs from Balenciaga. Go for the weird hat, recreate your own hat. You can create everything you want, and this is something very exciting. And I feel like from talks that I have with a lot of people that this pushes the boundaries the most. Like, people literally hate being maximalist because they're scared to stick out. Literally nobody looks at you. Nobody is that relevant. You're not that important. I'm not that important. Nobody in the metro looks at you. Like, we're so irrelevant. So that's why I think, honestly, pushing maximalism pushes you further, brings you closer to your personal style, because you try to be, it's a bit more extravagant. It is a bit more eclectic usually. It definitely helps to find your true personal style. I do love a minimalistic look. I do love a monochromatic look. But this is not something that pushes your boundaries. It's comfortable. You will stay comfortable. And another issue that we have right now, and I think it's actually related to maximalism and individuality struggle, is despite having all these secondhand stores as well, we have so many brands that kind of look secondhand to me, but apparently they're not. I want you to stop wearing Paloma wool. I don't really understand the fascination. I'm pretty sure they probably filled a gap a certain time. It's very easy for me. It's for the people that are too lazy to search for vintage pieces. Those are the people shopping for Paloma wool, and there are thousands of brands like that. Paloma wool is just the first brand I'm thinking about because I think they're the most viral, and brands like Gunny, Faithful the brand, House of Sunny, I would call them influencer brands because honestly, even though Instagram is a very democratic place and everybody has space to show what they're doing, I think these brands got kind of popular by pushing it a lot on influencers. And by pushing something a lot on influencers, you turn something into a trendy item very quickly. And when something turns into a trendy piece, it is a commercial piece worn by a lot of people that have different personalities that you actually don't identify with. So why the hell should you wear those Paloma wool shorts or those Gunny cowboy boots or those Faithful the brand very generic looking vests that you can find at every fast fashion retailer, but you have the chance to pay 3 times the price for it? So even though we think that these kind of smaller brands are pushing individuality because it looks different than what we see on the big runways, I still think it's a very dangerous trick that they're doing with pretty high price tags for very, very low quality. I touch a lot of those pieces. I really wanted to give them a chance. Honestly, I'm always happy to find a new brand. And there are brands out there that really push the boundaries when it comes to quality and design. But these brands for me are just like gap fillers of vintage clothing and with a price tag that is completely unreasonable. Of course, we're also over this if you know, minimalism, quiet luxury phase. I don't care if you wear Loro Piana suede slippers. I don't care if it's the Row loafers, even though, I mean, I don't hate the Row, obviously, but I think it's nice that the Row exists, and I think we need it maybe in this fashion circle as well. But also, we can also do something else. We don't need those Kate jeans and the Row loafers and the Kate cardigan and I don't know, a Alaya handbag or something. You can push even further than that and be yourself. As much as I love the Alaya bag, it's so pretty, it's so beautifully designed, I do not think that you can reflect your own personality with it. You need to go more extreme. Check vintage handbags, check second handbags, if handbag is something you are searching for. And this is something I always struggle with because I think handbags have the most unreasonable price tags out there. Honestly, ready to wear is a bit more realistic, but handbags, they really don't want us to enjoy that. And that's also another reason why I think if you focus a lot on logo-driven handbags, you do not really appreciate real fashion. So, I mean, I'm sure you don't do that anyway, but if you see a person that has like only designer handbags and fitting designer shoes, and they say they love fashion, this is not fashion. It's a functional piece. It's not fashion. It's not design. So check the typical secondhand retailers: Vestiaire Collective, The Revel, Poshmark, Vinted. Insane pieces. I got stuff for like 100 euros there, and it's way underpriced. I don't know why people sell stuff to prices like that. If you're on the Discord server, you will also figure out we have a dedicated chat only for amazing stuff to get secondhand, amazing price tags. We have people that are very dedicated to find the best fits, and I think that's amazing, and you can buy these pieces, and very often these pieces get sold as well. So amazing to have helping hands in the fashion community, and also check secondhand retailers. So to sum maximalism up, I would say go for wilder silhouettes, and with wild I mean whatever is the next step from the usual silhouette that you have. For me, it would mean buying something 10 sizes bigger, and I'm not concerned about that. I would do that. Do something unusual and get out of your comfort zone. You need to push maximalism. You don't have to push colors. You don't have to push accessories. You don't need to have thousands of earrings and necklaces. You just need to push a bit the silhouettes that you're wearing. And I think in this way, you will find yourself even more. Push yourself also to getting items that are a bit unusual to you when it comes to handbags and shoes. I think it's still easier to be unusual with accessories if you don't feel comfortable to have a huge, extreme, oversized sweater or something very slim or whatever. I think it's always great to push with accessories. But whatever it is, push, and you'll get a push present from me. This is something that took me personally years. I always had a voice in my head. I always had a voice within where I knew what I kind of liked, but I required something I should never have done. And it is feedback. Guys, you should never ask for anybody's feedback when you're wearing something. You should know it by yourself. If you don't know it, you need to train that feeling. You need to train questioning yourself, thinking about yourself, asking yourself about your own feelings. Asking somebody else for feedback is the most irrelevant thing when trying to find your own personal style. That person has a different background, has different experience and different aesthetics. It has nothing to do with you. You might be best friends, might be your mother, father, lawyer, whoever. They don't know anything about you. They don't know what you feel comfortable in. Some people are so restricting themselves by asking for feedback from other people that they turn out to have a completely different style. I mean, I know so many people saying, I would never dare to wear this. Whenever I hear this sentence, I would never dare to wear this, I usually hear actually a scream for help that is like, please push me to get out of my comfort zone to dare to wear this. Maybe you can be the person pushing your friends around you. I think it's extremely relevant to only listen to yourself. Ask nobody. Whenever I listen to anybody else, and they mean it always in a good way, but nobody can look inside your head and understand what you personally really like. Whenever I ask for somebody's feedback, I usually end up with a day that I didn't feel comfortable in, that I didn't feel like myself in. I would have felt way more comfortable if I would just have worn my sweatsuit and a coat probably. But whenever I try to get some input, I mean, sometimes people, you can be hopeful, you know, I'm working every day on these topics. Sometimes I do ask people like, hey, what do you think? And usually I immediately realize that we don't have the fundament of understanding for fashion, not knowing more or less, but maybe for me, quality is way more important than for that person. Maybe that person only is interested in local craftsmanship and not in colors and silhouettes, for example. It doesn't make really sense to ask anybody for help. Next year, in 2025, I don't want to hear the question ever, how do I look in this? How would you style this? You can ask these questions, of course, still to like people where you think this might be helpful. I know there are a lot of people out there that are also professional stylists, but to be very honest, professional stylists, I don't know if you really need that if you want to find your own personal style. Go into a department store, touch everything you like, and you will find stuff that you like. Don't lie to me. I know everybody loves stuff. Like, you will love stuff. And then you will try them on, and then you will look at the ridiculous in them. And then you will realize it's not your silhouette, and you will try different things. You will have to go through this yourself. Don't ask somebody, don't pay somebody to be like, hey, pick me 15 items, and that person thinks it's appropriate to your body silhouette and whatever. You need to do this fight with yourself. Don't ask anybody for feedback. Just trust your guts. I think the most relevant advice in the world, something I always stick to, whenever I'm confused, I don't know what to wear, or also when I go somewhere and I might feel uncomfortable, the only thing I just check is my gut feeling. And I think it never tricked me once. So I just thought it's very important to speak about these points because we're surrounded by so many macro trends, flat sneakers, Zambas, Onitsuka tigers, bomber jackets, all these kind of things that we might forget about ourselves and what we really love. And I think in 2025, we need to make sure that we close our eyes a bit more, actually. I know we always need to have a wide horizon, important when speaking about the world and global issues. But when it comes to your personal style, you need to close your eyes for a second, not listen to anybody, and just listen to your gut feeling. And if you do want to get some feedback by people that have a clue, I would really recommend you trying something like the Discord server where people are giving very insightful feedback. So join there. Don't forget about the Patreon where I have another weekly video if you're interested in these kind of videos where I'm talking even more about all these kind of things and trying all these kind of things. I also launched a website, guys. I know I'm not talking enough about it. Like 3 weeks ago, I think. I share everything I find personally good. So trust your gut feeling while going through all these pieces that I'm sharing. I'm kind of sharing in a detailed way everything I'm wearing that you see on Instagram usually, and explaining why I'm wearing it, and also where you can find alternatives or the same pieces if you're into it. If you're not into it, don't go to Paloma Wool. That's something you should not do. I think that's about it. All the links are down below. See you next week. Ciao.